Every year, the Rhode Island General Assembly submits a budget to the governor to sign into law. The creation of the budget is a long, semi-public process that starts, though not really, with the governor submitting his proposed budget to the General Assembly and the General Assembly making changes, large and small, to the document until it is returned to the governor to be made official with their signature. The budget, when returned to the governor, is an all-or-nothing bill. The thousands of expenditures and modifications to existing law come as a package. The governor, for the most part, cannot pick and choose what parts of the bill they like or dislike to pass or veto. If the governor had what we call a line item veto, this would change. To get there would require a constitutional change to be placed before the voters. So far, the General Assembly has refused to place this item on the ballot, and since Rhode Island has no citizen initiative package to get things on the ballot, that situation is unlikely to change in the near term. But a line item veto would allow the governor to go through the budget and to cut out or put a line through those items he didn't want to pay for. So you pass this comprehensive budget, the governor looks at it, says, I don't like this part, and he crosses it out. But Governor Daniel McKee has a kind of line item veto already. While not as powerful as a true line item veto, the governor has used it to generate large surpluses. Surpluses he is using to advance his pet political agendas over the expressed desires of the General Assembly. Let me explain. During January's 2024 budget briefing, Brian Daniels, director of the Office of Management and Budget, briefly explained Rhode Island's unexpected budget surplus.
So last year about this time, I think I was before many of you and said we have an unprecedented surplus in fiscal year 2022, and I'm here again in fiscal year 2023 saying that we have again a very large surplus. We are projecting about a $610 million surplus in the current fiscal year. This is attributable to a number of factors, including strong revenue collections, even though there are warning signs of a possible recession on the horizon. Rhode Island revenues remain strong, and our economy is still strong. We have lower expenditures in a number of our agencies, primarily from personnel. Rhode Island, the state of Rhode Island is an employer, and like many employers, we are having difficulty retaining, hiring and retaining staff, and so we do have some personnel vacancies that has led to some operating surpluses in some agencies. We also have continued federal support during the pandemic. The federal government extended the 100% FEMA reimbursement through the end of June of last year. We had not budgeted for all of that, so that's additional funds that we received, as well as enhanced federal Medicaid match. So that has been extended to an additional 6.2 percentage points of the federal share of Medicaid. We've been getting that longer than we expected.
Last year at this time, Uprise Rhode Island covered a rally outside the Department of Human Services offices in Pawtucket, where union leaders called on state officials to immediately start to fill vacancies at DHS. At that time, DHS was short around 78 workers, and as a result, Rhode Islanders in need were experiencing delays in obtaining SNAP benefits for food security, childcare benefits, health insurance coverage, and cash assistance to meet basic needs during the bone-chilling winter months. The situation isn't much better today, and other state departments are experiencing similar shortages in staffing, both at leadership levels and in the ranks. Every worker not hired is money saved by the state. Mind you, these are funded positions, meaning that the General Assembly has gone through the process of allocating the funds for these positions, and the governor has signed a budget so that they can allocate the funds. Not spending the money allocated is, in effect, a line item veto. Workers at various state agencies work harder because there are less people there. They are doing the work of two people for the price of one. Vulnerable people entitled to federal and state funds fall through the cracks or are delayed in getting needed assistance. Most of this money is federal in nature, meaning that federal money gets to the person in need late or not at all, and that money never enters our local economies as spending into businesses. It just sits at the federal government. But whatever state contributions were made just sit there as well, creating a surplus. At the end of the year, the governor is sitting, now twice, is sitting on a big surplus. And where does this surplus go? For Governor McKee, this surplus goes to tax cuts for the rich. Reducing the state's corporate income tax. 1. The people needing public services are usually not incorporated, right? Stopping the gas tax increase. The people needing public services sometimes rely on public transportation and are not the largest consumers of gas in the state. This tax reduction, which comes at the expense of the most vulnerable people, is given to people who own cars, and basically big cars that use a lot of gas. You save more money. So the bigger your car, the more gas you use, the more money you save. Again, tax cuts for upper middle class to rich people. How about eliminating the litter tax for businesses? Governor McKee said the litter tax isn't used for litter, so he'd like to eliminate it and save businesses money. Most people, most vulnerable people, do not have their own businesses and are not paying a so-called litter tax. How about exempting trucks from the sale and use tax on their trade-in value? Again, people needing public services are not trading in their old pickup trucks for new. They're poor, right? And a big one is a slight reduction in the state's sales tax, which is good insofar that sales tax is regressive and hits poor people harder, but bad insofar as the governor does not suggest ways to make up this lost revenue through instituting new progressive tax structures. This means that in coming budgets, there may be less money available for social services. All right, so this little video went on too long, but understand how this works. Even without a line item veto, the governor is able to transfer money from policies that help those with the lowest incomes towards policies that help those with higher incomes. And this is by design.